Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Douglas Hartman with Airbrush Artistry, and back again at Mr. Demon Skull here. Today going to be working on teeth and getting these forms and shapes, the bone structure leading up into the nasal bone, and go from there. One of the things I do want to do is that, I use this little X-Acto blade knife and scraped off the area here along his nasal bone, and I do want to make sure I get into that and take care of that. As I'm working around here, I'll get, overspray will get on this. And I kind of want to try to keep it as clean as I can, so. And then I'm coming, I'm sure my hand was in the way of that, but yeah, I'm just going to come down. Work my way around here, and then come up just a little bit here. As I go along, I'll try to keep that area as clean as I can. But all right, so again, using at the compressor, 12 to 15 psi, Awada HP B plus, Drew Blair short trigger. I've got the a soft spring coming in for this guy too as well. 0.2 millimeter needle and nozzle setup, and I'm going to go ahead, put in 5 drops of reducer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that was 5, maybe 4. And then I've already got, let me give this guy another couple of shakes here. Createx Illustration Colors Payne's Gray, pre-reduced 50%. Yeah, we'll do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In my experience using I don't want to say overly reduced paint, because it's not overly reduced, but I guess very reduced paint, it helps eliminate clogging up the nozzle in your airbrush. And so that's why I kind of use a reduced paint as I do. Again, to mix it up in there, I use a sponge. I don't eliminate tip dry with my fingers. I have stabbed myself too many times. I use a Q-tip and some Windex, ammonia-free Windex. And see how that bubbles up there? It mixes that paint and the reducer that I added. Reducer is distilled water. I'll do that a couple of 3 times. I just drop my little sponge. And do it again. To my right, I've got another easel set up with some paper on it, just to do what I just did there, blow it off, blow some out. And I use my Q-tip with ammonia-free Windex in it, And I'll just roll across the needle like that. Give it some more air, and away we go. So again, working in this structure right here. Got some basic shape going in with the teeth there, and I need to remember the relationship with the nose, the nasal cavity here, to the rest of the face. So it's going to be coming off the face, and so we need to create the illusion of that with values. The different values we lay on this skull will determine how the shapes and forms will appear. And so I want this forward, so I want everything around it, essentially on the outside here, to be darker down in here. And I don't know why I didn't lay in some more texture right there. Let me just go ahead and get that out of the way real quick. Is laying the rest of the texture going across here like this. Just like that. Get that out of the way. All right. So I know, where the teeth come into the skull, that area is going to be out more. So it's going to be highlighted, the area between. The teeth is going to be dark, leading up to that there. So yeah, I am going to darken that up like that. Just to help give it some form and some shape. So this is going to be lighter though than this right in here, but all right. Hopefully you guys can, I think you guys can see that a little bit better, the angle I've got the camera at. Remember too, when you're using a reduced paint that's fairly reduced, you always have to keep your airbrush moving. Okay. If you don't, you're going to get spidering effect, which is essentially what happens when you stay in a spot too long and you get, for lack of a better term, a puddle of paint in the air coming out of the airbrush splatters it. You can see some of like right here is a perfect example. These little spider web looking things. And so you always have to keep your airbrush moving. And also trigger control, you know. It's the sayings that everybody needs to you get better at it the more you airbrush. And so what do I got going on here so far? All right, so I can kind of keep working this kind of area in here. I want to keep adding these darks coming down. I do want to make this more of a ridge, so I really want to get in there and kind of define that shape more. And so I do need to get in there like that. Come in there with an eraser just a little bit here, but let me get in here. Again, laying some more dark colors in there. The teeth here, you know, it's going to be dark in here. I do want to darken up that value in there. So what I'll do is, again, I'm always, it just helps so much to keep your airbrush performing the same, is always, you know, stopping and taking care of the tip dry. And you can tell when it starts building up, when you have to start pulling back further and further on your trigger to get paint to come out. You know that nozzle, the needle is getting getting a little clogged up, you know, and so, you know, they just go ahead and take care of it, man. All right, so I can go ahead and get some teethies going on here. And give that a little kind of a crack going on. Let's see here. Not getting, you know, crazy detail in the teeth here yet. Just getting kind of just, it's more about establishing some values. So I can go in there and I can go in with an eraser and that's really all I'm doing right now. It's just even value changes to establish the shape and form of the teeth. Going in here and, you know, adding the crack going like that. But yeah, we're just building up value. And so what I'll do here is go and darken up some of the texture effects in here. Or just adding some of my own. lightly. Again, going over, getting rid of any tip dry on there. Easy peasy. That way you keep your paint flowing good. And dress this right here. Step back a little bit. Let's see here. And also, when you, well, like if you notice, like on the teeth, you know, I started at the darkest point and whooshed up. Okay, like in here, I would start at the darkest point and come down. In this area here, here, let's see. See, I don't like how this looks so sunken in right here. And so if I change the value of this bone structure right here to bring it forward, lighten it up a little bit to bring it forward more. But it looks like it just goes way too far back in there, you know, and I don't like that. So yeah, this will be yeah, it'll be a good time to so when I set my airbrush down, so now I laid in some value, right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with an eraser, kind of go over this area. Before I do that, before I stop and get the eraser out, I always beforehand, even if I have just done it, go ahead and take care before of any tip dry. Give it a backflush to help mix the paint in there. Blow some out. Give it some air, not any, just air to get any remaining anything else on it there. And then from there, I will go in with an eraser. That way the airbrush isn't sitting there with a bunch of paint on the needle, just drying out and everything. So, all right. So what we're gonna do, establish this is, I want this area around here to be right. So I'll go in with Mr. Eraser, do that. Same thing with this right in here. Come down. And as I get further down here, I don't want like this area here to be have the same amount of light on it as this. So when I come down in here, I'm just removing just a little bit of paint, you know. It helps give it that, you know, like it's slowly going back down. But it needs to be darker than this area right here. Because it's not going to be on the same level, plane, as this nose area. This is going to be in this area right here, the bridge, the area of this nose cavity is going to be further away from his face, catching more light on it than this area right in here. So I do not want these highlights here to be as light as the very edge of his nasal cavity there. And so that's what is important about looking at your values of each area compared to the areas around it and how it relates to the light that is affecting your artwork. And always keeping that in mind. And so in here, I want this to be lighter. I don't like how it looks so far recessed. I don't want it to be like a pit right there, you know. And so I'll just, and the cool thing is if it looks like I've taken off too much paint, I just always go back over and glaze a little bit more, you know, back on top of it. So 'tis no big deal, man. And I'm just going to work my way over here a little bit. Adding and removing a little bit of paint here and there to create, you got it, forms and shapes. The ongoing process, man. It's slow and tedious on a piece like this, but it's going to make it look really, really cool in the end. Oh, little nooks and crannies and stuff. Let's see here. And so I want to give a highlight on it. Right there on the ridge where the teeth go in the skull. removing a little bit at a time. Looking groovy, man. Still, so now this is like, to me, this is too dark in here. And so I need to come down and lighten this area up just a smidge. Just a smidge. And just a little bit in here as this goes into there. Yep, it's a slow process, but the overall effect, it's gonna be really cool. All right, and so obviously I want there's gonna be, you know, on top of his, it's on the top of those meat grinders here. We want the value to be a little bit lighter as it comes down. Kind of like that. I don't want a whole lot of texture in his teeth. Just this has, you know, the effect that it's, you know, it's enamel, it's bone, it's not, you know, this grainy bone. It's gonna have a different feel if you're running your finger across his teeth than if, you know, across his face there. Kind of like that, you know. Yeah, so and I'm sure I'll probably take the well, the X-Acto blade, you know, it leaves a more grainier looking highlight, and I won't do that across the top of his teeth because I don't want it to have, you know, I want you you to be able to tell that this is different material, so to say. It's a different substance than the skull. Just like the protrusion right here. You know, I want it to be perfectly clear that this was a different material than this. You know, this is bone. This is, you know, tooth. It's more like an enamel based, so it's going to be a little smoother. You know, so that was the effect I was going for anyway. And so it helps to break up the texture effects that you put in a piece, so it's not all, you know, all the same. And overall, as far as this area is concerned here, got to address this right in here. That's looking just kind of hinky. And just come in and let's see. This would be a little lighter coming through here. Oh, it's going to catch the surface of this stuff right here. And yeah, I'll have that more recessed, so I'll darken up this area right in here a little bit. And so when I start back up with the paint, after leaving this airbrush sit for just a little bit like that, I'll go in with my little sponge. And I'm going to do this like 3 times at least, just to mix it back up. In case I need to, you know, the pigments in the paint settle to the bottom of the cup. You want to get them mixed back up with your reducer and whatnot. And get that some more time there. Blow it out a little bit. And you guessed it, just in case there's any remaining on there, and then just air. All right. So, let's see. I wanted to address this transition in here a little bit. So. Add a little darker value in there. Darken that up a smidge. Address the value changes in there. Yeah, I don't want to go too dark with this. The paint's gray because I'm going to come back in with illustration black to really, you know, to really punch in the dark colors. All right, so when I look at it, it's blatantly obvious there's an issue right here. It may be okay for right now because I'll have to reevaluate it after I come in with my illustration black. Yeah. Let's see. So I may have to run just like a lot along the top edges of these structures here to really bring those out a little bit more. Work on that a little bit. I'm creeping up on an hour. Yep, so what I'm gonna do, again, I'm gonna go back to my eraser, so I will take care of any tip dry I got on there. Handle that. All right. Where did my little blade go? All right, so still not happy with how this just appears so sunken in. So let's see what we can do to take care of that. So if I go in here, in the top edges of this here, just slowly remove some of the paint in there, just a little bit. That might help my cause. Yeah, I went to Walmart the other day to pick me up some t-shirts to start a new project on, and it's like all I can find is the best possible clothing substrate that you can airbrush on is 100% cotton. Okay, and so it seems like now all I can find is this self-wicking material, and it's not all cotton. A lot of it is, polyester or whatever. And so I had to order some. I've got some t-shirts coming from Amazon. They're a heavier fabric, 100% cotton. None of this self-wicking crap. Not that the self-wicking crap is crap. It's great for when I go fishing it's hot out, but not the airbrush on. You want 100% cotton is the best way to go when it comes to airbrushing on a t-shirt. But I am preparing a canvas, an old canvas that I had that I already started an image on that I really wasn't too happy with. And I've got one coat of gesso on it right now. It's a super heavy Liquitex gesso. And so I'm waiting for that first coat to dry a bit before I put a second coat on it, smooth it out. Wait for that to dry, then I'll be able to sand it. And I am really looking forward to that. It's going to be a really cool piece. Yeah, I'm looking forward to working on that piece. I need to I need to stop before I go too crazy with it. But again, if it's too light, like I said, I've always said, you can just go back in and put a light glaze of color over it, or value over it, to help. Alright. Yeah. Let's see. I am going to stop right there. I'm creeping up on almost an hour or so. But yeah. So I do have some new projects coming up. From here, what I'll do is I'll move on. I'm not going to mess with this area anymore. I'm going to let it sit and let me, again, the good thing about spending time on an individual project is, I come down here when I'm, before I go to work, I'll come down and I'll look at it to see. I'll look at it from a distance and see what I like about it, what I don't like, what I feel I need to change and whatnot, instead of rushing it. But again, I know it's probably boring for you guys to see me continue to work on the same project for 15 videos. But that's just how I'm going to do things. But I will have some more projects coming up here very quickly. I know I should be getting some t-shirts in on Sunday. Today is the 4th of July. I'll be able to get that piece gessoed, get a grid on it, and get a base drawing on it. It's going to look really cool because let's see, it's about 2 foot by 3 feet, or maybe 18 inches by 3 feet, something like that. So it's going to be a tall, skinny painting, but it's going to be of a mind flare and looking forward to doing that. And what's really cool about it too is a completely different texture than a demon skull. You know, he's going to have more smooth, slimy skin, you know, that kind of look. So, and I'll try to achieve some type of like a transparency or whatever. But anyway, like I said, I hope helping somebody out there in the universe with airbrushing. And please, if you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments. I appreciate all my subscribers. If you like the video, you know, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It helps, you know, me out in the long run. And I can do whatever I can do to help somebody out. I'll give it my best shot, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, Douglas Hartman with Airbrush Artistry signing out. Later, dudes.